이 남자가 무서운 이유는 성범죄가 아닙니다. 모사드, MBS, 억만장자들과 연결된 그의 실체를 그린월드가 파헤쳤습니다.
Well, one is exactly what you just said. You know, we have the Epstein files, but then we also have, and this got so little attention for reasons we could talk about if you want, but the Iranians hacked into the emails of a bunch of high-level Israeli officials, including former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, who was Jeffrey Epstein's basically best friend.
Yeah.
And they published it online. There's these hacked emails that are online that you can go and read. And very few journalists were interested in reporting on them. And in part it's because journalists like scoops that only they have when something's dumped on the internet. They don't like to report on it. But there's this outlet called Drop Site News, which is founded by a couple of my colleagues like Ryan Grimm and Jeremy Scahill, who are great reporters. And they've had journalists like Murtaza Hussain going through these emails. And what that description that you just laid out about Epstein's relationship to Israel, to this kind of upper layer above nation states, including Israel, is very much proven in these emails. Like, it is actually true that Jeffrey Epstein was performing extremely sensitive and high-level foreign policy transactions for Israel with the Mossad.
이란 해커가 폭로한 이메일, 엡스틴이 모사드와 함께 초고위급 외교 거래를 수행했다는 증거가 담겨 있었습니다.
Jeffrey Epstein with the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. And it wasn't like like one of those pictures where you just are at some event, you meet a leader and you take a picture, like a very formal picture. They were like giggling and laughing. It was like very festive and boisterous. It was a social event, clearly. And the interaction was social in nature. And I think someone said like, oh, I know somebody who would be of great use right now in sensitive diplomacy in the Middle East, meaning Jeffrey Epstein, because of how intricately connected he was to everybody. And I think that is what we've learned the most about that there is this Epstein world. And it's a group of, there's that photo.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I mean, this is like a very serious guy, like Mohammed bin Salman. He's not a joke.
I've never seen him without his thing on his head.
Yeah, and like with his arm around him. This is like supposed to be a devout Muslim, by the way. I don't know if you've been to the Persian Gulf, but
no,
you have like the elite level who lives exactly the opposite of this pious, like just very religious life. And it's really just imposed for the peasants who go to prison if they like look at a woman the wrong way.
Yeah.
The division is, I mean, here you see it. I can't think of a better, manifestation than this. And this is it's a transnational global elite of billionaires and oligarchs and people who are sociopaths who just move massive amounts of money around, kill people, have.
MBS와 엡스틴이 함께 웃는 사진. 성범죄자로 등록된 후에도 세계 권력자들은 그를 필요로 했습니다.
Yeah. How much attention did you pay to some of these recent depositions that happened with like Leslie Wexner and Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and all them?
Yeah, the Hillary Clinton deposition in Congress was confidential. It hasn't been released, although we've seen parts of it.
Oh, okay.
And then, there's been there's been parts of it that have been released, but the idea of the agreement was she would appear as long as it wasn't public. She wanted it to be public, actually. The members of the committee didn't. But, like Leslie Wexner and Leon Black are, people for a long time are like, wait, he was living the life of a billionaire, right? I mean, you buy a private island, you drive, you ride around the globe on a 747, you have mansions, sprawling huge estates in New Mexico and Palm Beach and this gigantic mansion in the Upper East Side of New York. This is a billionaire's life or, close to it. And nobody could figure out how did this happen? And now we have a better idea that it came primarily from two billionaires, Leon Black and Les Wexner. The only philanthropic causes that the two of them do, the only political causes that either of them have really ever cared about are pro-Israel causes that give a huge amount of money to Israel, to every kind of arm of Israel. And they were shoveling hundreds of millions of dollars to Jeffrey Epstein, like in a way that even if you hired the best, largest law firm to give you tax advice, you wouldn't even be in the same universe of compensation.
Have you ever thought about whether or not Epstein could have gotten a large sum of his money from Robert Maxwell when he died?
I mean, it's a big coincidence, right? Like Robert Maxwell, for people who don't know, was this incredible life, by the way, like really fascinating life.
Yeah.
로버트 맥스웰, 모사드 요원이자 억만장자. 그의 의문사 직후 엡스틴의 자산은 폭발적으로 증가했습니다.
The most amazing part of the story is that Jeffrey Epstein actually got convicted because usually these people are completely immune from any kind of accountability. I think that his crimes must have been so atrocious that even given who he was and who, I mean, remember, he was best friends with Donald Trump all throughout the 90s, not up to the point where he got convicted. They had a falling out over several things. We don't know for sure. There's different stories, but they weren't friends at the time. But I'm just saying, he was in every major power, political, and financial circle. And it's extremely unusual for someone like that to have to register as a sex offender. So you can just imagine the extent of the depravity and the legal violations and just criminality on the most like repulsive level that caused that to happen. But that is, ultimately the fact that he has all these connections with people like Robert Maxwell and his daughter and basically everybody, and accumulates this massive wealth. I mean, he's very, very smart, very clever. There's no doubt about that. Like, he was a real operator, but it's just, it's how, we have these illusions about how our world works. Like, we go to the ballot box once every 4 years and we elect our president, and then every 2 years we elect our Congress. And in reality, the people running the world are largely invisible from us, at least in terms of how they interact with one another and what they really do.